In this lesson, we'll look specifically at Mail, your inbox view, and view options. We'll start by selecting either the word Mail or the envelope icon in the gray Tools bar at the bottom of your folders list. We discussed this in a previous lesson. If you're not already there, this will take you to your email and likely right to your inbox. If you're not in your inbox, simply select Inbox. No matter how your setup looks, and we'll discuss organizing your space in a moment, you should still have three basic panes in this view. First, your folders list, which should reside on the left by default. You saw in a previous lesson that by navigating to the View tab and selecting the Folder pane drop-down menu that you could minimize this pane or turn it off altogether. If you don't use folders for organizing your email, or you're using Outlook 2016 for personal use and not professional use, you may want to minimize or hide this pane. If you're not using it regularly, get rid of it and save that space for something else, like reading your messages. If I select a different folder here on the left in my Folders pane, that folder and its contents will be displayed here in the Inbox pane. Depending on the setup that you have configured, this may look quite different from your inbox. I have chosen to see the sender, the subject, and a preview of what might be in the message. For example, this email from Andy at Google, the first line in his email says, "Hi student." When I select one of these messages, I will be able to read it in our reading pane, which takes us to the last pane that's likely available by default, the reading pane. And this is where you can read the complete message that you have selected in your message list from the folder that you've selected in your folder list. You see, it basically is a hierarchy. Here is the first option on the left. When you select that option here on the left, it shows you the list of content in that folder. And when you select your content within that folder, it will be displayed here on the right in your reading pane. It is where you can take action on messages such as reply, forward, etc. Let's look at the current view and saving views. If you navigate to the View tab in the ribbon here, you have several options for configuring the look of your mail. Let's start with View Settings. This is located here in the Current View section on the left. View Settings, by default, is in the middle. I won't get into the details here since there are so many ways to customize your version of Outlook 2016. However, I highly recommend selecting the View Settings option, like I've done here, and going through each of the option menus available within this window to start customizing your setup. Once you have found a view that you like, select the Change View menu option here, and select Save Current View as a new view. When you do that, you'll be prompted with the Copy View window, where you can name your view, My View, and you can set the settings here, select OK, and your view will be saved. Now that you have a saved view, you can return to it at any time after making any view changes. Many people use this great function of Outlook 2016 to customize the different views based on the different types of work they might be doing. Someone may set up a very efficient email reading view for scanning through their email and depositing those emails into various folders and just going through all of their email. Then they may have a separate view for composing a very important email that maybe wanted to focus on the reading pane where they're typing their message. Next, let's look at the Messages section here in the View tab. There is an option here called Show as Conversations. Now we've taken a pause from our recording and shown you that there's a conversation now in this email box. And if you don't have this box ticked, you will see that the back and forth messages between me and a colleague display as individual messages in our inbox. As you can imagine, if you're going back and forth quickly with a client or with a colleague, this can quickly overtake your inbox, and you'll only be able to see this conversation. Enter Conversation View. by ticking this conversation box here, you'll get presented with an option that says show all messages arranged by conversation in all mailboxes or just this folder. Well, personally, my preference is all mailboxes. And look what just happened. My inbox went from an abundance of messages back and forth between a colleague and myself to there's a message or a conversation between a colleague and myself and my other messages. And let's talk more about that conversation view message. What happens when you activate conversation view is that email thread now becomes a sort of email folder that contains all of the emails from the thread within it. As a note, a thread is a conversation between you and another party or parties within an email that has a continuous subject line. So in other words, you're replying to a previous email who's replying back to you and so on and so forth. Now what happens when you activate the conversation view, your email message now looks like a message in your inbox, but hiding within it are all the emails that have gone back and forth. Outlook 2016 will always display the latest email as the encompassing email, or the top-level email, with all of the previous falling beneath it or within it in order. You can identify a conversation view message in your inbox by the small arrow located next to the sender's email address. You can see it here. If you select any of this conversation email, all related emails are automatically displayed beneath. I'll show you. By selecting this message, clicking the drop-down menu, you can see the conversation going back and forth in the email chain. You can hide it by tucking that arrow back in, or you can hide it by selecting another message. I'll show you. When I select the next message in my inbox, automatically that conversation is folded away. If I ever need to access any of the previous emails within it, I can simply select that email. I can even open that one individual email if I wanted to. The benefit to Conversation View within Outlook 2016 is to keep your inbox clutter-free. And that completes this lesson on Mail, your inbox view, and view options. In the next lesson, we'll look at configuring the space and layout of your mailbox.